Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining our DrayTek product overview webinar today. So let's start by taking a look at what we will be covering today in this webinar. For those who are new to DrayTek, I'll start with a quick introduction to the company and then discuss the amazing value it offers to SMBs, also ITSPs and MSPs with multi-site projects. This will be followed by an overview of the product line and the models that are most popular in USA. Also, I'd like to give an introduction to the ACSSI centralized management platform. We'll talk about that in detail later. I want to highlight some of DrayTek's strengths and some unique innovative features that it offers that make it different from competing brands in the market. And then afterwards, we have a quick demo of our production network where we run all DrayTek devices and the ACSSI server and how it manages all our routers in our network. So for people who have not heard of DrayTek before, hundreds of thousands of DrayTek devices are sold worldwide every year. They are a networking company from Taiwan. They were one of the first companies to introduce dual WAN routers for the SMB market. They have enjoyed a great reputation in terms of quality, performance, incredibly rich feature sets that are continuously improved, and they don't have any hidden costs or complex licensing. So large ISPs in Europe, such as Vodafone, have selected DrayTek as their CPE vendor of choice. They have deployed thousands of DrayTek routers to their customers so far. It is also a popular choice of system integrators with multi-location projects for large chains like McDonald's, Starbucks, Pizza Hut. And the fact that DrayTeks are also deployed in the financial sector speak very highly of their security and reliability. In fact, I would say that in UK, DrayTek is even more popular than Cisco for the SMB market. So let's look at some of DrayTek's strengths and what makes them different from all the competing brands in the market. From a hardware perspective, they are a small focused company, so they have a very fast speed to market. So they have newer chipsets than most mainstream routers. Other mainstream routers might have, their current models might have chipsets that are almost 6-7 years old, whereas DrayTek really comes faster to market, so their chipsets are newer. That's one important factor that works in DrayTek's favor. And we also know how critical a router's firmware can be. So DrayTek have been developing and perfecting router firmware for more than 10 years now, and they hold themselves to the highest quality standards. In my experience, they always have a firmware upgrade every 2 months or so, sometimes faster than that, and they are very responsive to our feedback and suggestions from all their distributors and customers all over the world. So that's another factor that works for them. Okay, so I want to talk about why DrayTek is perfect for SMBs. We are hearing from customers all the time who are considering moving from their Sonic Walls and Fortinets, Miraki's to DrayTek, and they are looking at the features and performance. So we find that some manufacturers, some of these mainstream manufacturers, they're more focused on enterprises, while their SMB products are just a scaled-down version that follows their enterprise pricing and licensing model. And this can get quite expensive for SMBs. Now, some other brands, they target the SMBs, but they don't offer the same wide array of enterprise business features that DrayTek offers. So with DrayTek routers, SMBs can have the same sophisticated security features and control, and is built in on the router. So it's all included in a nice little package, and there's no hidden costs or complex licensing. Also, DrayTek's web GUI, it's incredibly easy to configure it, even the most complex scenarios, and I'll show that to you later in the demo. So there's no need to hire any specialized technicians, or there's no need for any special certification. So if you combine that with our US-based tech support, you'll get a perfect solution for SMBs. So let's take a quick look at some of the lines we carry in the US that are very popular here. And these are not all of DrayTek's products, but these are the ones we carry here in the US. So DrayTek routers have a wide variety of WAN interfaces supported on all their routers, depending on the model. Cable, ADSL, VDSL, fiber, 4G LTE. And they offer a wide range of routers suitable for different numbers of users and network sizes and applications. So for home users or ITSPs who are looking for a basic CPE kind of router, they have numerous single WAN models. As you can see, the Fly 210, Vigor 2120, these come with single WAN ports. Now the dual WAN routers are extremely popular with SMBs, and that's the one I'm going to show you in the demo today. DrayTek also makes multi-WAN routers like the 3900 series, which are suitable for larger projects, or if you want the router that will go in your headquarters for a multi-site project. So these routers have advanced features and very high throughput, VPN and firewall throughput. Now, most of DrayTek's single and dual WAN routers are available in wireless versions. They have single band, dual band, even AC now. They have 2925 and 2860 supported in the AC flavor also. DrayTek access points. So DrayTek makes single band 2.4 gigahertz and also concurrent dual band 2.4 and 5 gigahertz access points. So these access points are PoE. They support multiple SSIDs and VLANs. So if you want to segregate your internal wireless LAN from your guest network, you can do that. And they have bandwidth management on the wireless side, station control. So it's really suitable for hospitality applications as well. So if you want to restrict the amount of time a user will use your wireless, so there are a lot of features there for bandwidth management that you can use. The ceiling mounted 802.11 AC access point that you see in the picture on the right, that is the newest addition from DrayTek. It's not released yet, but we have an evaluation version if you'd like to try it. And it's AC, it has great speed, it has 800 Mbps. So that's another one. And then fiber versions of the single, dual, and multi-WAN routers are also available with SFP slots, but they are special order, but you can just request one to try out. DrayTek also makes gigabit and PoE switches, 24-port, 8-port switches. Now what's interesting about DrayTek's access points and its switches is the ability to configure them from the router's interface. And I'd like to show that later, but the switch management especially is brand new. It's going to be available on the next firmware released for your router. And with that, you can configure your VLANs on your switch from the central router's interface. You don't have to log into your access points and switches individually. You can configure them, push out configuration changes, firmware upgrades in a batch mode if you want. So that's really helpful. Now for service providers and system integrators, if you have a multi-site project, I believe visibility and control of your networks would be critical. So system integrators with multi-site projects or ISPs, they need to be able to configure and see the connectivity status on their network parameters and monitor alerts, generate detailed reports. So DrayTek's ACSSI software lets you manage thousands of DrayTek devices in multi-site deployments. It's a TR69 protocol-based software. It's installed on your own server, so it's private and it's secure. And it has multi-tenant architecture. So you can provide your customers access to their own accounts if you wish, and determine the level of control you want to share with them, or you can keep it to yourself. So you can just do the management, remote management reporting for your customers. So it depends on how much control you want to share. Vodafone that I mentioned previously, they have 40,000 DrayTek devices on one ACSSI server. So they can see all their DrayTek devices through a single interface, and they don't need to log in or individually into each router anymore. So with the ACSSI, you can set up alarms for network disruptions, and you can set up email notifications. So if a WAN is disconnected on one of your customers' routers, it will send you an email, or any other operator that you set up can get that email based on the role-based management in the ACSSI. And you can also see detailed event logs. So if anybody has made any changes to a router, you can see that in the logs that are maintained on the ACSSI. So not only this makes your job easier by reducing support calls and also expensive truck rolls, it's a great value-added service that you can offer to your customers. Now this is a license service. So the licensing on the ACS is pretty simple. There are no per user licenses. All the licenses are only based on the number of routers that you want to manage in that network. So they are available in 50, 100, 500 and more. It can go up to thousands of routers that can be managed from your ACS account. And the cost works out to be approximately $5 per node in the first year, which is negligible compared to the revenue that can be generated. And for subsequent years, it's half of that. So it works out to be $2 or $3 per year. So, Henry, do we have any questions so far? Okay, so let's drill down. And
yes,
go ahead.
Yes, we have a couple questions, but I'm gonna hold those questions for later. If anybody in the audience have questions, there is a tool on the GoToMeeting panel, so you can send your questions. Send your questions, and we'll take them live as they come. And these two I have right now. I'm gonna hold them for the next slide.
All right. Okay.
Go ahead.
So I want to drill down into some of DrayTek's strengths now on the routers. So nowadays we see that SMBs are moving to VoIP, moving VoIP and other critical services to the cloud a lot. But single WAN routers in most SMB networks continue to be a single point of failure. So if your internet goes down even for a short duration, if you have the best service, it can go down due to line falls or maintenance. You will lose access to not only your emails and browsing, but also your VoIP, your ERP, your CRM systems. All that is going to go offline. So to prevent this, DrayTek offers a variety of multi-WAN routers, dual WAN, multi-WAN routers with 5 WAN connections. So these are session-based load balancing routers. So this is especially important because you have protocols like VoIP that don't work very well if it's simple aggregation, if it's simple packet load balancing. So DrayTek routers can recognize sessions and do session-based load balancing. Now, in addition to that, they also have powerful route policies that you can set up. So you have complete control over which traffic gets sent out on which WAN interface. So you can send out your VoIP on a dedicated WAN interface if you want, and then separate your data from it and send it out on another WAN interface. And if one of them fails, then you can decide what to do with that traffic. You can fail over, fail back. So really detailed route policies and priorities can be set up. Now for VPNs, they can be load balanced across different ISP connections too. So if you have multiple WAN connections and you want to have LAN to LAN VPNs between your headquarters and your branch, then you can have redundant VPNs. So with VPN trunking, you always have guaranteed VPN between your different branches, and you will never lose access to them. Another great feature is high availability. So with that, you can have 2 DrayTek routers and have a master-slave configuration. So you have hardware redundancy in case there's a power or network disruption. So all these features, they combine to give you complete peace of mind. You don't need to put all your eggs in one basket. So redundancy is always guaranteed on DrayTek routers. Now, as far as security goes, DrayTek has always taken it very seriously, and they have built a solid reputation with their VPN capabilities. So depending on the model of the router, DrayTek router can support anywhere from 50 to 500 simultaneous VPNs. You can have remote dial-in VPNs to connect your teleworkers to your office network, or LAN-to-LAN VPNs that I mentioned previously to connect your branches to your headquarters. And all the popular types of VPNs like PPTP, L2TP, IPsec, SSL are supported. All DrayTek routers come with a very flexible firewall, object-based firewall. So you can set up objects not only based on source and destination IPs and ports, but also URL keywords, website categories, time schedules, application filtering. So all these objects can be set up in your firewall, and then these are applied to the different filters to control your user's access. So you can have very flexible policies, like you can block an employee from accessing, say, Facebook, but allow access only during 1 hour during lunchtime, for example. So these kind of schedules and web category filters can be set up in DrayTek firewalls. All DrayTek routers also include user management. So what that does is it's the router's internal authentication and authorization system. So it lets your users log in and connect to the internet only for a specified time or data quota that you can set up for them. And you can set up different accounts for those users. Now this system also works with external radius servers. And I'll show that to you during the demo.
Yeah.
Yes, Henry?
Now that we are talking about this feature, I'm going to send the question. The question is from Alex from Waco.
Okay.
He's asking about licenses. You mentioned VPN, a number of up to 500 VPNs,
right?
Web content filter. So what do you need to license in DrayTek?
There's just one thing that needs a license in the DrayTek router. Everything else is built in. So VPN capabilities are all built in. There's not going to be any additional licensing if your users increase. The only thing that needs a license is the web category filtering. So that's maintained by a third-party service, ComTouch. So what this does is if you want to filter based on all social networking websites. So a third-party service takes care of keeping real-time, keeping up with all the websites in the social networking category real-time. So they maintain all these categories real-time, and that's licensed, and it's a very negligible license. It's annual, and it comes down to around $40 or $50 per year. And now if you don't need that, if you don't need category filtering, you can still filter websites based on keywords. So you can still block facebook.com and yahoo.com, and that's included, that's built in on the router.
Is there any license for end user for if you have 10 users or 20 or 30 users in the LAN? Does it matter?
No, no. As I said, the only license is to enable the web content filtering, web category filtering on the router. There are no per user licenses. And all the other services that I'm talking about, all of them are built in.
Okay. Okay. I have another question for you from Giovanni. Those filters that you mentioned, can those be applied to individual users, or is only for the router, for everybody?
You can have a lot of flexibility there. You can apply it to the whole network on the LAN. You can apply it to individual users based on their IP addresses. If they don't have a specific IP, or they're going to use multiple devices like their phones or to Wi-Fi, their phones and their computers, then you can set up a user account for them and apply a policy to that user account. You can also make different groups of users and apply different policies to them.
Okay, thank you.
So the way it works is the user basically, when he tries to access internet, he's prompted to log in with the user account that you set up for him. And once he's logged in, then he will be shown the amount of time that he's allowed to go onto the internet and the data quota that is available to him, and the firewall policy that you set up for that user. Does that answer your question, Henry?
Yes.
Okay.
We have a couple more questions, but I'll let you continue.
Okay. So I already discussed DrayTek's wireless access points and showed you the different models. So a really cool feature in DrayTek routers is the ability to manage your DrayTek access points right from the router's GUI centrally. So there's no need to log in and configure each access point individually anymore. You can still do that if you want to, but if you have 10 access points in your network, you don't have to log into them individually. So access point provisioning becomes completely plug and play, and you can configure SSIDs and the Wi-Fi passwords, all the security parameters on the router, and you can push out all these profiles and configurations to your access points from the router's interface. You can even do it in batch mode. So there's no need to push them out individually. Just plug in the access points, they talk to your router, and then push out a default profile in batch mode to all your access points. So this is...
May I have another comment?
Go ahead.
This comment is from Jose from Panama. He can't believe you have pretty much a full Wi-Fi controller built into the router. That's pretty much it, right?
Yes.
He wanted to check on that.
It's suppose up to 20 access points right now for configuration. But yes, you can configure every single parameter on your access point and push it out from the router. Not only that, it also lets you load balance between the access points. So you can load balance based on the number of users connected. You can control that. So if you set up a limit of 10 users on each access point and an 11th user is trying to connect to one, it will get pushed to the second access point. So with this, you can make sure that all your Wi-Fi traffic is handled in an efficient manner and spread out evenly over your access points.
Nathan is asking, I can answer this based on your answers. If this wireless solution would be good for a shopping mall. I guess today you mentioned there's only 20 access points that are supported and that can be controlled from the router.
At the moment, yes.
If the shopping mall needs more access points at the moment, is there plans for adding?
Yes.
I think 50 would be the next step.
They are working on it.
Access points.
Yes, they are working on expanding the number of access points supported in future firmwares. And like I said, all the firmwares are free. So even this feature was added in a firmware upgrade last year. So people who did not have this feature before suddenly got the ability to manage the access points from their router. So when they do add more access points, that will be a firmware upgrade.
Okay, so to answer Nathan, then yes, you can use this solution in a shopping mall. Once you have soon, you can manage 50 access points. You can have all control from the router, controller and access points. They have this model with a dish looking for ceiling mounting that is also very cool.
The AC wireless access point. So because it's AC, it can go up to 800 Mbps. It's really fast. Okay. And
question on VPN very quickly. Last one, then let you continue. VPN. So do you need any special VPN client? Can you use Microsoft VPN client or iPhone, Android VPN client for
yes, absolutely. To the router? You can use all the built-in VPN clients. They're supported. DrayTek also has its own VPN client if you want to use it. It's available for free on the website. But yeah, all the Microsoft, Android, all of them are supported.
Okay, go ahead. Continue.
Okay. All right. So another important feature that I want to mention is the intelligent VoIP QoS. So for SMBs who are primarily concerned about their VoIP quality, configuring all QoS parameters manually can be a little bit daunting, especially for beginners. So DrayTek offers a single checkbox that can detect when a SIP call is being placed and automatically give it highest priority. So it's a single setting on DrayTek routers for VoIP QoS specifically. So it reserves bandwidth for, the way it works is it reserves bandwidth for 2 more VoIP calls than the current number of calls that it detects. And that this way you are always assured pristine audio quality, because even in the best of routers, it takes some time for traffic shaping to come into effect. But since DrayTek reserves bandwidth for 2 more VoIP calls than the current number of calls, it doesn't have to throttle any other traffic to give VoIP priority. So, and your bandwidth is not wasted. So it's a dynamic allocation of bandwidth. So if your VoIP is not using it, so the other traffic can get that bandwidth. So this is a really easy setting in DrayTek routers, and this is something that ABP has worked with them because we are very concerned about VoIP audio quality. So this is something we have helped them develop and test. And we are very satisfied with this feature. So finally, I want to stress that DrayTek offers several unique features, like the centralized AP management, switch management, VPN management. I can show that to you if we have time. Also the ACSSI server. So all these features, they automate complex network setups. So if you have tagged VLANs on switches or IPsec VPNs, so if you're new, it really simplifies the learning curves on these devices. Now, once you're comfortable with the setup, all this can be done manually. You are not restricted to using DrayTek's inbuilt wizards. So it offers all the bells and whistles. If you want to set up QoS and IPsec to your exact specifications, you can go into the router and do that. But for people who are new, all these tools are really effective in setting up a complex network really, really fast. So any questions?
We have a couple more questions. We are not gonna, everybody that is sending questions, we're gonna reply to all of them offline if we don't reply to those live. We need to try to finish on time. So one more question regarding the controllers is, can you have more than one controller per site, or access point controller?
Oh,
and if it can only manage other DrayTek equipment, or can also manage other manufacturers' equipment?
No, it can manage only DrayTek right now. And since this is built in on your router,
only DrayTek?
Yeah, only DrayTek right now.
And only one controller per site?
Yes, because this is not a dedicated wireless controller. It's a controller built in on your router. So unless you have 2 routers in there, yeah, it's going to be one.
Okay. You have a demo for us now,
Yes,
Mia?
yes, I'll go on to the demo if there are no more questions.
Okay. I'll put some music now. While you prepare your demo.
Okay, Henry, can you see my screen?
Okay, I see your, this is a live router, right?
Yes. So this is our live production router that I just want to show very quickly how we've set it up. So as you can see, we have 2 WAN interfaces connected to this router. It's a dual WAN router that's load balancing between these 2. Yes, so we have a fiber and a cable WAN connection. Now what I'd like to show you is how the sessions are load balanced. So as you can see, every session is either on WAN 1 or WAN 2. And since we set it up to load balance automatically, they are distributed according to the speed of those WAN connections. Now we also have some route policies here. So if we don't want some particular traffic to be load balanced automatically on WAN 1 and WAN 2, then we set up a route policy and decide which WAN interface, which IP address it gets sent out on. Now you can also have priorities. So if your first route policy fails, you get to decide what to do with it. So you can send it out on another interface if it fails, or you can also send it out on a VPN, or you can send it out on another route policy if you want. So as you can see, you have a lot of flexibility here, and decide the priorities of all these route policies. So you can set up more than one route policy that matches a certain kind of traffic and classify them based on their priorities. Now another cool feature that they added recently was the WAN budget. So this can be useful if you have your third and fourth WANs are 4G LTE kind of dongles. So it's really useful there because, as you know, you will get charged if your data usage exceeds your data quota in a certain month with your carriers. So you can set that up, and you can have settings to send you a mail if it's about to get exceeded on your dongles. So that's another useful feature that I really like. Now, as I mentioned before, we have IPsec, PPTP, L2TP, all kinds of LAN-to-LAN VPNs that can be set up, remote dial users that can be set up. And this is the AP management that I was talking about. Right now, we don't have any online. Oh, there they are. So as soon as an AP is plugged into the network, it comes and registers with the router. And once you see it here, you can go in and change the profile that gets pushed out to it. And all the parameters that might be needed to that you need to configure on the APs can be configured here. You can keep a default profile that will always be sent out automatically, or also have some individual profiles that you want for some particular APs. And they can be sent out in batch mode. Firmware upgrades can be done right from the router for all the APs in your network. Traffic graphs for individual APs can be checked. And then the load balancing that I was talking about. So you can load balance based on the station number or the traffic limit that is handled by every AP. So if it exceeds that threshold that you set, the users get sent to another AP. Any new user will be sent to another AP. Now the licensed web content web category filter that I was talking about is provided by ComTouch, and as you can see, it has a lot of categories that it can classify websites into. And this is the only feature that requires a license in your DrayTek router. And it's a one-time, it's an annual license that is not based on the number of users, so it's just for the whole router. The quality of service intelligent VoIP setting, as you can see, it's a single setting, and all you need to do is enter your SIP port that your devices are going to use. After that, everything is done automatically. Your router detects your SIP traffic and the following RTP media traffic after it, the number of calls that are being placed, and it will reserve bandwidth for 2 more VoIP calls. So if you, without the setting, you would have to set up everything manually, the classes, the service types, apply it to the WAN interfaces. So it really saves you a lot of trouble if you're just looking for QoS for VoIP. Now, Henry, do we have any specific questions on the DrayTek 2925 router?
I have a question on warranty.
Okay.
What is the warranty for this equipment?
It's 2 years.
Is it 2 years? Okay.
Yes.
Now, another question from Nathan is, what would be the minimum router? What would be the minimum that you would need to connect from a remote store or remote office?
You can
the
have
simplest model, I guess.
a single WAN model, I would suggest, unless you want redundancy specifically. So if you go for a single WAN model, a 2120 series router, that should be enough.
2120.
But
and it has the VPN client.
It has VPNs, yes. Now some of the management features might not be there on the single WAN router, like the central AP management. Those are available on the dual WAN routers.
Okay. Is there, can you see on this live router, can you see the traffic? Live traffic, can you show it?
You can see traffic graphs. And also the sessions, number of sessions that are open. See that the router is load balancing between the WANs.
Okay. Can you show one number 2 on this same graph?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so it's balancing really well.
Yes. And all the APs that are connected to the router. So as I mentioned, in the next firmware upgrade, you are going to get switch management on this device. DrayTek is currently testing their beta firmware and it's working really well. So just like you have central AP management, you will have central switch management. And if you have a DrayTek switch, it registers to the router. And you can configure VLANs on that switch right from the router. So right now you can configure VLANs for the router here, but also for the other end, so for the switch. So other end of the VLAN trunk also can be configured right from the router. Now I'd like to show...
Yes, this question is very good. On ACS, Sergio was asking about logging and reporting.
Yes. So as you can see, this is the ACS server that we have for ABP. We have a few devices registered here. We use it for demos mostly. So if you want to try it out, if you have DrayTek devices, just send me an email at me@abptech.com and I can give you a trial account and you can register your routers to this ACS. So as you can see, all the network parameters for these routers can be monitored. You can check the firmware version and the WAN, LAN, IP addresses. You have a lot of options here. Now, a really cool thing I want to show is the VPN wizard. Provides a graphical interface. So VPNs, even IPsec VPNs between two routers can be just drag and drop. So we have some PPTP, some IPTP, PPTP and IPsec VPNs right now between our different routers. It also quickly shows you which ones are offline or which ones you need to go in and troubleshoot, and lets you configure parameters. Now if you want to configure each and every IPsec parameter, you can do that too with advanced configuration here, but otherwise it's just a drag and drop. Firmware upgrades are very simple too. All you need to do is upload the firmware file for a specific model to your ACS server here under provisioning. It's really simple. So once you have the file uploaded, you can push out that firmware file to all the routers of the same model. And you can do this together. So you can select which ones of the model match and which ones you want to send out the firmware to. Also schedule it. So if you want it done after hours, you can set up that here. Now traffic reports. The ACS has a lot of reporting options. As you can see, it generates really nice looking reports that you can export to PDFs and CSV formats. So this is something you can actually offer your customers as a value-added service. You can monitor their networks for them, generate reports at the end of the month. You can even show them, if you install a dual WAN router for them, you can show them how it's being load balanced between the two WANs and how your services are being utilized there. So detailed alarms are generated for WAN disconnections, VPN disconnections. These can be sent out through emails to the system admin for each different network. So you can have system admins for user groups. You can even have view-only network operators. So the privileges of the users on the ACS is really something you can set up completely customized. So you can have one system admin and a few view-only operators that can just monitor your network health, but not make any changes to customer routers. You can even give some control to the customer's technical team, so they can have some visibility into their device. So Henry, did you have a question for me on the ACS?
There's one question you probably answered already. Can you give the customer access to ACS specifically for reports?
Yes, exactly. That's what I've tried to show here. So you can have a multi-tenant architecture.
Can you show the map? Does it show in the map and
yes.
alerts you when a node is down?
So as you can see, we have a router in the UK that's online, and then one of our Dallas routers is offline. So yes, you can monitor all that in the map. Now you can also set up certain some information when these routers are first added to your ACS network. You can set up the nodes for the WAN connections. So later, if something happens and you are not the ISP and they lose internet access, you can just set up some nodes in the for each individual router on who the ISP is, how to contact them, what the static IP or PPPoE information was for each router. So that's useful too. So I think, Henry, we've run out of time on the demo.
Right, and that is perfect timing because we are almost 3 minutes over our target. I see there's a lot of people that are sending some questions, so we'll reply them offline and email with all the answers. In any case, can you show DrayTek USA site?
Yes.
You can always go and look for the information. There's demos there. So if you want to see how a specific model looks like, or if a specific feature is, just go to DrayTek USA, look for the models.
So for any product that you select, you can access the live web demo and see the interface of that product here. We also have a lot of videos in here that can be useful, setting up ACS and VPN, web content filter. And we are adding new videos all the time. Now there's a community for DrayTek users on Spiceworks also. So if you have a question and it's you can just put that to your fellow users of DrayTek, and that gets answered pretty fast too. We also
and there is a users group Right. Can you show the users group? I encourage everybody that that is interested or interested in working.
All right.
DrayTek or anything networking in general to go follow our group in LinkedIn, because we post some updates on features and promotion. We have training like 2-3 year, and we have these webinars, sometimes specific topics every month. So there is a DrayTek board.
So make sure you follow this showcase page, because this is where we post all our event updates and all our, if we have any discounts for events coming up, special offers on routers. So this is where we are going to post these. And also the user group that Henry was talking about. So if you have a question and you want to get your...
Yeah.
Yes. We are out of time.
You're breaking up. I don't know if me or the audio is, but it's not coming clear. In any, follow us on social media for news events in DrayTek USA website. We post everything that is going on there, and just if you haven't played with one, just get your first unit, start playing it familiar. You'll be in love with router, as we see many customers doing it. It's me explaining the cost and the value of this brand is huge. It beats pretty much anything in the market. We are here. Mia works almost full time with product management and support, and here in America, in Texas, and we have a team. For a question about asking support, we do support our integrators, IEs, and our partners will support the end users. We don't support end users directly unless it's an exception. But we do support our integrators, MSPs, ISPs, and we also help with projects. If you have a multi-site project, if you have questions, can I do this, which is the best model, we're here. Call us, call your sales rep, and we can set up a conference call and discuss your specific needs. Anything, Mia, to finish? I think we are out of time now.
A poll.
Last words?
Yes, I just want to launch a poll where you can tell us what you would like to hear about in future webinars. So you probably are seeing it on your screen right now. So please complete that poll for us so we can improve on our webinars in future.
Okay, very good. So this poll, just select which feature you want to see, and with that, I'll take the last one question from Latin America. Cesar is asking what models are for Latin America, if they're specific models. We are the models that we have in our side are the ones that are current. Sometimes the manufacturers have legacy models just because somebody somewhere in the world still want to buy those, but we filter and we know, we talk to the manufacturer almost every day. So the models we push and we recommend are the models that are being supported, has the newest hardware, and that will receive most of the support and development from the manufacturer. So questions about models for different countries also can ask us specifically and we can help you. All right, thank you everyone. Mia, thank you. Great to the point presentation. I hope everybody enjoyed the presentation, and we'll contact in each of you if you have some questions on the specific things. Gracias a todos. Espero que nos sigan en nuestra próxima presentación el próximo mes. Thank you everyone. This finishes our webinar today.